So we are continuing our systematic study of the Acts of the Apostles, and we begin at the first verse of the 15th chapter, and it reads, certain people, always certain people, came down from Judea to Antioch where we're teaching the believers. This is what they were doing. They were teaching the believers, unless you are circumcised according to the custom taught by Moses, you cannot be saved. Let me just say right off, it's like, okay, well, circumcision, so all the ladies can like, oh, no, you're not talking to me. This is just a stand-in for all the Levitical laws, okay? This is just the circumcision. That was the obvious one, and we won't go into the grisly details, but literally, you think of it like the covenant and where it was, you know, if you were to abort or not fulfill the terms and conditions of the covenant, then here's an example of what's going to go on. We're going to kill an animal, cut it in half, walk through the middle. So be it to anyone who would not fulfill that covenant, that responsibility. Circumcision. Get the point? That's a stand-in for all the Levitical laws. So ladies, don't just tune out and just think that, oh, okay, well, it doesn't apply to me. This 15th chapter is very pivotal. I mean, dare I say, the whole Acts of the Apostle pivots on this chapter, if not our very being as Christians pivots on this 15th chapter. It really sets the stage for where we are today. 2 weeks ago, maybe 3, we shared in message that the messaging that had been going on, these were Jews. And so they grew up as Jews then in history and passing on from generation, from Genesis to Antioch or wherever they were at. This is what we knew. This is what we did. So Jesus brings in this thing called grace. And it's kind of like that song. You appreciate it, Deacon Josh, Chicago. It's a hard habit to break. It's we've grown up this way. We're accustomed to things a certain way. And so, we believe this rabbi, Jesus the Christ, raised from the dead. We believe him, but there's nothing wrong with circumcision. There's nothing wrong with washing your hands and doing certain things. There's nothing wrong with all of that, unless you're a Gentile, unless you're a non-Jew. It's easy for us to go back and say, well, you knuckleheads, why did you think it's, you have text. Again, I like to go back to Deuteronomy 7. For you are a people, this is God speaking through Moses to the people. For you are a people holy to the Lord your God. The Lord your God has chosen you out of all the peoples on the face of the earth to be his people, his treasured possession. The Lord did not set his affection on you and choose you because you were more numerous than other peoples, for you were the fewest of all people. But it was because the Lord loved you and kept the oath he swore to your ancestors that he brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you from the land of slavery and from the power of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Know therefore that the Lord your God is God. He is the faithful God, keeping his covenant of love to 1,000 generations of those who love him and keep his commandments. God could have chosen anybody. That ought to give us humility in our role. God is like, who am I? Who, not who in a generic way. I'm talking about who am I? Mark, David, Meeks. Who am I? Who is like, so what makes you special? As I was, again, sharing this morning with Dr. Taylor. It's like part of 99.9% of our relationship and doing the will of God, relationship with God and doing his will is just showing up. I'll say that again. It's just showing up. If you have a task, show up. Well, I don't, this, that, and I'll show up if I do that. Just show up. Just show up. That's all. I wish it was a little more. Look, you're not God. I know that's a spoiler right there. It's like, you're not God. In his infinite wisdom, he chose who he chose. That's essentially what he's saying here in Deuteronomy. I picked you because I picked you. I don't owe you anything. See, we like to, oh, God, he owes me. He doesn't owe you anything. He speaks things into existence. You think he owes you something? Stop praising him and watch the rocks do their thing. That's what he said. It's like if I don't have a chorus of praise, I'll find someone else. But it's because of the very nature of God that he does what he does, and he is who he is. God is love. God is faithful. God is long-suffering. He weeps. He rejoices. He is holy. So God's plan from the very beginning was to make himself known to his entire creation through a subset of his creation, and that no one could or would predict how things would have unfolded. There are any number of references I could have picked, but let's go to Isaiah 2. This is what Isaiah, son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. In the last days, the mountain of the Lord's temple will be established, and the highest of the mountains, it will be exalted above the hills, and all nations will stream to it. This was not a plan B, plan C. This was God's plan from the very beginning. I'm going to use a subset of my creation, and I'm going to use them as the oracle, the salvific oracle for all of creation. Like I shared earlier, marriage is not for our consumption. Primarily, we get to benefit from it. That's wonderful. But it is primarily, fancy word, it's an archetype. It's that type of thing that God desires with each and every one of us. Intimate and interactive. But sadly, most of us miss the point. And so it's understandable that his chosen people, the Jews, also missed the point and saw their relationship with God as a members-only club. So if you're Jewish by birth, you're in. You're in. And if you abide and you're kind of associated with us and you play by the rules a little bit, well, some of the benefits will extend to you eschatologically. But don't forget, you're not Jewish. This is a members-only club. See, for the Jews, even those that accepted the fulfillment of the promise in the 11th chapter of Isaiah, they missed this, but the apostles, the New Testament church got it. A shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse. From his roots, a branch will bear fruit. The Spirit of the Lord will rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and of understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord, and he will delight in the fear of the Lord. Verse 10 reads, in that day, the root of Jesse will stand as a banner for the peoples, the nations. The nations will rally to him, and his resting place will be glorious. So I've just cut across all of the Old Testament, got you to the New Testament. That's why Jesus came, and that's what the argument is all about in the 15th chapter. It is indeed a hard habit to break. So that's behind the opposition. It wasn't a small point then, and it's not a small point now. There are any number of things we can put in place for Levitical law, things that will impede our willingness to be accepting and not in the very least diminish the gospel to shortcuts. Well, you don't have to worry about that. You don't know, well, this is okay. This is permissive. No. The inclusivity that is the gospel. Well, we never done, we just don't do it that way. This is the way we do it here, culturally, racially, denominationally, the style, the messaging, the music. I've shared with praise team before. I'd say, again, if you haven't already picked up on our praise team music selection, it's not by accident. There are certain songs that resonate with me to my very soul. I grew up, the call and the response, all of that, back to the fields of Bakersfield. That resonates with me. But it's not about me. It's about us. And we all come with different experiences that we come together. And that's how, again, is the kind of the preamble, if you will, of our podcast series, not only race, culture, and the church, but the front porch. It's to get into those spaces where we can have those conversations with one another. So the church, instead of being laughed at, pointed at, and being ridiculed for largely what it is, it's like irrelevant to the conversations that are going on in the world. We can be, oh, wow, what's going on over at City Church? Just a couple hundred people. But they seem to like get it. It's not about us, it's about him. But as we plug into him, people will see that in us. The text, verse 2, lets us know just how serious this whole theological debate is. This brought Paul and Barnabas into sharp dispute and debate with them. So Paul and Barnabas were appointed along with some other believers to go to Jerusalem to see the apostles and elders about this question. The church sent them on their way, and as they traveled through Phoenicia and Samaria, they told how the Gentiles had been converted. This news made all the believers very glad. I can just imagine, the finger pointing, and maybe they didn't punch each other in the nose, but the text lets us know this wasn't like, well, no, it was a very robust and argument-filled debate. This was a big deal. I thank God. I remember, I thank God even more. I remember Pastor Campbell sharing this, how he just said in message, he said, I thank God how the first centuries of church leaders, first, second, third, fourth century, where they wrestled with theology. See, we take it for granted. Oh, these are settled issues. This is everybody knows. Everybody didn't know. They were figuring it out. And they had to wrestle and they had to figure it out. And it's like, okay, all right. Next week, you'll see how things settled with discussion with the Holy Spirit. And the result was, don't want to spoil everything next week. But they're on their way back. They share the good news. Again, just a sidebar. This is the first time you see Phoenicia mentioned in the text. Just lets you know that the gospel was being spread, even though Luke didn't talk about everywhere it was being spread. The Acts of the Apostle is not a complete history lesson of the church, but an important Cliff Notes rendering of what was going on. This is what's going on. Here are the peaks and valleys, but here are the important points that are going on through the establishment of the church. We want you to know. But the gospel's being spread all over the place, particularly after the stoning of Stephen. Each of us has a part and a responsibility for the sharing of the gospel. But keep in mind, we're an important part. Hear me. We are an important part, but we're such a small part. Don't get an inflated view of, well, if I don't do this, then, the gospel's just going to fall apart. There will always be a witness. There will always be, as I shared before, I share now. If I go off the rails today, God is still on the throne. He is still who he is. Pastor Meeks just lost his mind. That's all. We just plow straight ahead. If God takes me home, it's like, hey, next man up, next woman up. This is bigger than us. We're extremely important. So how important? I don't have many, but he counts the number of hairs on our head. He knows every detail about your life. Well, he doesn't know this. He knows that. That's why, yes, thank you. That's what people say. Well, God knows my heart. You need to stop saying that. You need to stop saying. He really knows your heart. And he gives an answer to that glib response. It's deceitfully wicked. Deceitfully wicked. It's like, anyway, I'm closing. Verse 4. When they came to Jerusalem, they were welcomed by the church and the apostles and the elders, to whom they had reported everything God had done through them. You know, as the guy said, what's that, the wrestling guy, let's get ready to rumble. You know, that's kind of what's getting ready to come down. We're getting ready to rumble. We're getting ready to have that debate. We're not going to shy away from, as Sister Meek said, she's got a lot of Sister Meeks-isms. She said, conflict doesn't have to be negative. Conflict doesn't have to be negative. It's like, no, you're in error. Well, I think I'm right. Well, let's talk about it. See, that's why when I sharing the gospel, I'll share the gospel. I don't care what religious background you come from. I'll chop it up with you. The only person I won't waste time with, and the Bible calls them fools, is those that say there's no God. I don't have time for you. You're stupid. I'm serious. You're stupid. You believe that there is no God. Okay, I got work to do. But if you have a false view of who God is and our relationship to him, then I will be more than happy to have that conversation with you. So what's the takeaway? Takeaway, as I shared before, we are called to do what we are called to do. As one of my professors reminded me, and you've heard it multiple times, just give the Holy Spirit a half a chance. Just give the Holy Spirit a half a chance. Just do what you're supposed to do. Again, yeah, keep your thumbs out of the plate as you're delivering the food. Just that's so gross. That is just, keep your thumbs out of the plate. Just deliver the message. That's all you have to do. I know. But it'd be so much better with lights and fog machines and people will, if you offer loaves and fishes, they will come. But that won't, when you're laying flat on your back looking at the ceiling, fog machines and loaves and fishes ain't gonna do. You won't even have, just ask Sister Meeks, you won't even have an appetite to eat. What's going to sustain you? And that's where the word, see, when the rubber hits the road, when issues of life come, all of the tropes, all of the, just name, frame, and claim your way into whatever issue, just make it go away. It's like, that stuff, it's from the pit, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. That's not, God never promised that. Oh, well, that's enough, I think. Yeah, that's enough. This thing we call the gospel. As C.S. Lewis said, Christianity, if false, it's of no importance. If Christianity is false, it's of no importance. But if it's true, it's of infinite importance. But the only thing it cannot be is moderately important. Either it's wholly true or it's totally irrelevant. It's just not, it's not what Mark said, it's the opiate to keep the people kind of calmed down and, believing in something else. It's like, no, either it's true or it's irrelevant. That's why it's so important to get it right as far as what we believe. That's why it's so important to have the apologetics ministry, to have them come in. It's like, do you know what you believe? Do you really know what you believe? So you can have that, and you can't have what's in vogue, the new Hebrew movement that folks are getting bamboozled left and right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's Jesus is okay, but you really need to read Leviticus and Numbers and Deuteronomy, and it's like the gospel plus anything is not the gospel. The gospel plus anything is not the gospel. I don't know what it is. It's false, but it's not the gospel. So don't ever get bamboozled. The gospel is the gospel. And The good news, I mean, by definition, it's good news. You don't have to do anything except it's already been done. You just have to receive it. And in your receiving, transformation takes place. It can't be that easy. Well, see, that's the problem, because we're so conditioned to think, well, it's that old commercial, it's probably out of business now, Smith Barney. How do we earn money? The old-fashioned way. We earn it. We earn it. We earn our money. We earn our salvation. We grind. I did this thing. And it's like, okay, all right. If I'm God, I'm like, okay, how's that working out for you? Where's the peace? I ain't talking about salvation, but how's that working out for you? And the world is finding, it's like, you know what? This world is crazy. It's getting crazier. My kids are out of control. People are driving like idiots on the road. What's going on? Let me introduce you to somebody.